everybody, welcome back to Game Geeks. Well, life fucking sucks sometimes. Shit happens, but I'm back now, and we're going to be bringing you more episodes regularly. So, yay. All right, first thing we're going to talk about today is Deadlands. Those of you who have been long watchers know I'm not the biggest fan of Westerns. It wasn't something I grew up watching, so I've kind of given a sidelong glance to Deadlands all along. It was one of the first reviews, and it's just the Western is not for me. And to be honest, after reading this, it's still not my favorite genre, but this brings me a whole lot closer to wanting to play in a Western game. This is the original Western horror game as far as I know. Boot Hill existed in the early days of TSR. For those of you who don't remember what TSR is, besides the social media fustercluck that's been going on lately, TSR was the original makers of Dungeons & Dragons. And then they produced Top Secret, which was a spy game, Star Frontiers, which was a science fiction game, Gangbusters, which was for mobsters, and then Boot Hill, which was for Westerns. Of those, you know which one survived. And I've never known anyone who's played Gangbusters, but I do know that Star Frontiers and Star Frontiers and Top Secret have gotten some love from older guys like us. So, what do you get with Deadlands? Well, as I mentioned, it is a Western game. It is weird, and it is flat out a horror game. There's no two ways about this. So, the rules for character creation are just like you see in the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. By the way, these are both based off that newer book. So it's 85% backwards compatible. That 15% can be rough, though. So just know that going in. There are a host of new hindrances and edges. Magic works in a rather odd sort of way. It deals with the fact that the spirit world has become a lot closer to the real world west of the Mississippi. And so shamanism works, weird science works based off of one of the principal anti-villains. He's not quite an anti-hero, but he's not the worst guy in the Weird West either, Darius Hellstrom. Then probably what it's most known for are Harrowed, which are undead heroes. They have died, they have come back, and they can pull coup off of the major bad monsters and gain powers from that. And the Hucksters, which gain their power they have a very limited pool of power points, and they gain more basically by playing poker with a demon that rides with them. And if they win, they get the power points and some nice extras. And if they don't, then the demon gets control of them for a short period of time, or they just flat burn out. All right, so there are also, you can play Texas Rangers in this. U.S. Marshals are available in a supplement, which I also have right here, which is the Weird West Companion. Hey, Kurt, if you don't like Westerns that much, why'd you get the companion book too? I have a shopping problem. All right, so there are a couple new sets of rules in here for gunfights and hanging that you won't see most other Savage World settings, and the only rules for stampedes that I have ever seen. Now, this is it like the fourth version of Deadlands? Because there was with the original system, there was one for Savage Worlds when they first sort of went public with the with the Explorer's Guide. I want to say there was a third revision in there, but I might be wrong about that. Now we have this for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. The point of that is there's an ample amount of backstory that they really effortlessly work their way through with this. Because, yes, a lot of this has come before. They've done some time travel hijinks in that in the old Deadlands, the Civil War never really ended. It just sort of ground to a halt. In this version, it ended through some Deus Ex Machina with Morgana and Mordred. Frankly, I see the reason for it, but I don't know why they made the change, but it doesn't hurt it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So it's sort of a neutral change, in my opinion. Then it goes into the discussion of what is in the Weird West, sort of the excuse me. Should I be wearing a mask for this? The main bad guys, their servitors, and then it's like the different regions of the Weird West. In the new map, though, Pine Box is not on there, which I was a little, when I saw that. Then there's an ample bestiary, which has all of the critters that are unique to the Weird West. Another thing that's unique here is Ghost Rock, which powers most of the Weird West, the weird science abilities. And it is an ore that sounds like it's screaming when you burn it, and maybe there's a reason, but it's best not to think too much about it. Hey, I got an electric gun, so you're good to go from there. Now, in the companion, what it really does is it brings in more of the material that they couldn't fit into this book that has been established from the older previous editions of Deadlands. Sorry. Things like Metal Mages, who is a modification of the Mad Scientists and their magic works principle on metal. There's the U.S. Marshals, so you're not just playing Texas or Regional Rangers anymore. There is the federal approach. Voodoo, which I think I've seen before, but it's one of the nicer treatments of voodoo that I've seen, especially if you're playing around the Gulf of Mexico in your Weird West game. Also with the companion, you get sort of adventure ideas and adventure seeds. There is a one-shot or two-shot, not a full plot point campaign, in the back of the book, which is called The Horse Eater. And finally, if you're so interested, there are famous Westerners in this so that you can have a gunfight with someone from history or movie. So, what do I think of this? Well, like I said, Westerns, still not quite my bag, but this brings it a lot closer for me being interested in playing one. It is most definitely a horror game. In fact, it makes Cthulhu's Down Darker Trails look like preschool by comparison. There's some really good stuff in here, actually. And it makes me seriously think about running a Western game. So, how's that? It's changed my mind mostly. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.